Hello there, right here we have a brand new snapshot for the 1.17 Caves and Cliffs update. This is version 21W20A, and they're getting ever closer to doing the full release of 1.17, being the Caves and Cliffs update part 1. Because of that, there's not too many new features in this version, but there is quite a few changes because of bug fixes and parity changes to keep up with the Bedrock edition. And remember to hit the subscribe button as well as a bell, as I've designed over 30 new farms just for 1.17 and came up with hundreds of new cool tricks, all of which will come out in future videos. They added some new features to the narrator.
Narrator narrates all.
If you do Control B, it will automatically turn it on. Now the changes that they have
Crafting.
added to it.
Screen L, recipe for redstone dust. Left click to activate.
Includes position of where you're at, usage when hovering over or focusing on elements. So notice how I move over something, it will start talking.
Recipe for white dye.
Which is pretty cool. I definitely see this used by people that are trying to learn English as well as people that have sight difficulties. I made a change to llamas so that they'll no longer spit at players when in peaceful mode. And this makes sense because you really don't want the player to be attacked by things when he's in peaceful mode. Now they have kind of changed the way that players show if they're on fire or not. So here I'm standing in lava and also in water, and it no longer shows them actually have any flames on me. They added a new NVT tag for entities, which is called Has Visual Fire. This will allow entities to appear that they have flames on them without actually them being on fire. Besides those new features that they added, they also came in with a wide range of bug fixes. Most of them have to do with the new 1.17 changes and can impact the gameplay. They also fixed a really old bug. This is bug report number only 610. With the current bugs being the number 225,000. So this bug report was made way back when they added the bug report website back in 2012. It has to do with generation of vegetation when chunks are being populated, and this would cause weird things like this where you can have double grass, like a grass on top of grass, also grass on top of water, also vegetation on top of water that's floating, including flowers and trees, vegetation putting on blocks that they shouldn't be placed on, like gravel or sand. And this also includes snow layers on top of liquids. So these weird formations will now be considered discontinued. Even though there are other methods of doing this in survival, this particular method is no longer possible. So I will be adding this to my document where I keep track of all the different rares and discontinued things for survival across the different versions. You guys can check it out with the link down below, and you guys can also leave comments if you think there's any rares missing. And we're using all this information to make a Wikipedia page about discontinued and rare items. They added structure blocks now will show barrier blocks if you click this show invisible blocks. This just lets you see anything that isn't a block they normally can't see. It is kind of laggy because there's a bunch of rendering. They resolved a crash that would occur when loading worlds with a Java version 11 or above. Typically, if you give a mob a team tag, they won't attack other ones from the same team. But this wasn't applying to Piglin, Piglin Brutes, Hoglins, Zoglins, and Axolotls, so that's been fixed. The name on Structure Void as well as the minecart with commands both don't have color pink names like other important blocks like the structure block. They fix a problem with geodes forming and leaving water or lava nearby still floating. They also changed it so geodes will no longer be able to break bedrock by generating at the very bottom of the world, something I showed when they first came out, and was a natural way to find a hole down into the void in the overworld. This also fixes the chance of geodes spawning inside of structures and destroying them, like the entrance end portal. Now that they have also changed it so that also structures in the overworld can generate much deeper. There's also a problem that they were generated at the bottom of the world and breaking bedrock, and that's also been resolved. In the last snapshot, they were supposed to make geodes so that they spawn in a lot more rare, but it wasn't actually implemented in, so now it is. Rideable mobs weren't being affected by powder snow if they were ridden. Now that's been fixed. Now parrots that are riding a player's shoulders and are inside of powder snow will also freeze. In the past, the amethyst block were transparent, so redstone signals didn't go through them, kind of like glass. But in the new snapshot, they are going to be like a solid block and let redstone go through. Some particles still could be seen when looking through a spyglass, and they changed it. Some particles and some mobs weren't showing up properly behind stained glass. If you had tried to modify the world height after the world generated, it would give off a null point exception error. The axolotl mob should no longer get stuck on top of lily pads and constantly keep spinning in circles. They also did a lot of things to make it so axolotls move around more smoothly when on land and in water, including so they no longer pathfind into lava. In the past, when you breed an axolotl with a tropical fish in a bucket, it would just give you an empty bucket. Now it'll give you water in the bucket. It did change it so axolotls will no longer play dead if the damage comes from something than a mob. So now axolotls will only play dead if they are inside of water. Now I have designed quite a few farms where axolotls are helpful, but when it comes to numbtacking hostile mobs, they're not as useful. In the past, if you would break a lichen that was on 5 sides of a block, it would only drop 1 item. Now they changed that so you should get 1 for each side that it occupies. This isn't really going to change lichen item farms, as each bone meal will just add 1 lichen to each side. So it still costs 5 bone meal to put it on 5 sides, but it will save on durability, as it still only takes 1 durability, but you end up getting 5 lichen. It fixed a problem with the small drip leaf, which could cause the top part to be a ghost block, and placing it in water while the water is being removed. Blocks that were placed inside of powder snow would sometimes lay down and sleep directly inside of it. Pressing F3Q tells you all the different F3 commands, but the F3L1 wasn't in alphabetical order, so now it should be. When loading up the Minecraft game, the Mojang logo would quickly flash black, and now it no longer does that. In the Bedrock edition, if you use a hoe on a rooted dirt block, it would convert it into a dirt block. It would drop a hanging root item. Since this didn't work in Java edition, they've added it in. That means that now my dirt farm here will not only produce a whole bunch of different things, including wood, fuel, bone meal, cobble, XPs, gold, and of course dirt, but now it will also produce the hanging root item. You just have to AFK the farm using a hoe now. That's pretty cool. So this is what it now looks like. You right click it and turns the dirt and the rooted piece kind of flies out at you. If you want to check out this crazy farm, I'll have it linked below. They changed it so strays will now spawn inside of powder snow. Now initially I thought this was a bug, but typically for like strays or husks to spawn in, you need a sky axis of 15. And if we look right here, we see we only actually have a 14. So despite that, now they will spawn in it. So we can make larger scaled stray farms, which actually have the benefit, as since they are skeletons, they drop the bones, and bones are pretty useful, so having a stray farm is nice. Look forward to a new video on my channel about me upgrading my skeleton farm. Axolotls typically only attack other fish every so often, but you could avoid this cooldown by picking them up in a bucket and then place them down again. But they have now fixed it so you can't. The light item wasn't showing the correct numbers for its light level. They have finally added it so we can use water bottles of splashing as another way to put out candles that have flames. Now in the past you could just use tropical fish, the item, to breed axolotl, but because in real life they only like eating living fish, they've now changed it so that only buckets of tropical fish, which is like a live fish in a bucket, will work in order to breed them, and not the typical item one. Now the minecraft.use.minecraft.potion will be activated when a player uses bottles on a cauldron with water. If you died directly inside of another portal, it would soft lock you with just a message saying that you died. Super flat worlds weren't spawning with any decoration, and now they should. One of the things in creative mode is that whatever you have in your item hand that you're using shouldn't change, but when you use it on like fish, then it changes the bucket of water into a bucket with something inside of it, rather than keeping the original and then putting the new one in a different slot. And now that has been fixed. A cauldron of lava is full, but is only producing a power of 1 with the comparator, where a full water cauldron was producing 3, so now lava will also produce 3. There's something called spawn protection, which you can turn on for servers so people can't break blocks so close to the real spawn point, but players are still able to kind of grief by using tridents on dripstone to make them break off, and that's been changed. They also fixed it so players can't do stuff in spawn protection like light a campfire using a flame bow or light TNT. This also includes removing powder snow by being on fire, and then once you're on fire, touching powder snow. Also using bow and arrow to break off coarse fruit, and by decreasing water levels while being on fire. To fix it so mobs have better ability to walk across drip leaves. There was a problem if you would upgrade your world to 1.17 directly from 1.12, that you'd lose enchantments on any of your items. They've now added cave vines as being something that bees can grow, similar to how they can help grow crops when they fly over top of them with pollen. Fix the issue to do with different server hosts being unresolved when trying to join. In Bedrock Edition, if you catch on fire and then you hop inside of powder snow in a cauldron, it will convert it over into water in the cauldron. Now they've also added that into Java Edition for parity consistency. They also fixed some other minor bugs to do with like sound being played and the looks of some things. There was a large amount of bugs fixed in this version. That usually does indicate that we're getting closer to the full release. If there's anything specific you want me to test about the 1.17 snapshots, let me know in the comments and we will be testing that during our snapshot testing stream, which is currently going on live on my Twitch stream, which is linked down below. We'll be playing in the latest snapshot with all the viewers. You can find the IP on my Discord or when you hop onto the stream. And don't be afraid to hop over there or in my Discord and stop by to say hello. Thank you guys so much for all the support, and I will see you guys over there at my stream. Bye-bye!